What's up, legends?
Legends. Oh, Kenty is tired today. Wish his rank was. No. What's up, guys? Welcome to round 6. Buy, hold, sell, TLT. Well, it's essentially a buy, hold, sell, but we go through every team. You guys are doing all right, considering you had the 15-player week. Yeah, you didn't really lose ranks. And I think, actually, didn't you guys both make ranks in that week?
No, sorry. I dropped 200 ranks.
Right.
And I made 7K, but to start off in that round, I was quite far behind. So,
yeah. And then last week, it's like you guys stepped up again. Like I think now, before updates, we were all inside top 10K, and then Alex Twal got a deduction, and I think you just slipped outside, Browny.
Yeah, like 10.4 now. I was inside. I was like 9.8.
Yeah, and we're cheering for it all live commentary. We're like, yes, we're all inside top 10, but no, it didn't work.
It's all right. I'll get in there next week. So
yeah, we all will. The key is that we've all got 12 million plus in team value, which is incredible after 5 rounds. So we've got a lot of value spread amongst our team. Cash gen is starting to deplete a little, but we got Lasardi, Couchman. They're coming back soon. There's a couple of cheapies on the radar now, which we'll obviously talk about today. I'm at rank 2017. Brownie's at 10,498. And Kenty, you're at 9,412. So we're all right up there. We're all killing it. I'm just a little bit better.
But no,
but no, we won't go into the Storm's loss or the Wars loss. We'll let that go, boys. We'll focus on this week. And to all Roosters fans, stuff you. Sharks are going to smash you this week. Anything else, boys? We got anything else to touch
on? No, like I'm still a bit sour. I captained Walshy. That burnt me, man. I was going to be near 1,000 points, which would have put me comfortably inside the top 10K, but he's now a trade out. So we'll touch on that today.
No, doing good, man. Yeah, I was feeling a bit salty with the Wars and 2 games in a row where we've just done stupid errors. So really hoping that this week is different. That's what they're focused on. Yeah, up against the Storm, so it's going to be tough, and we're away from home. I can't even tell you the last time we won there. We should have won. I think it was like 2 seasons ago. We should have won there. We were leading, and then Coates did that ridiculous try in the corner. And then even at that point, I was like, man, I can't even be angry with that. that is so good. I can't be salty. So yeah. So anyway, so it's going to be a huge week, and it will be good to see if Boyd takes back over and kind of picks up where he left off after round 3.
Now, is there any chance you boys are going to get into a fight this week about whose team's better? Like, can we encourage that at all?
No, we're a lot more mature than you, bro. So
I wish Kenty all the best.
Okay.
Oh, no, you don't. No, you don't.
I wish Kenty all the best. Where the Storm are struggling at the moment. I'm of course hoping for a win to turn it around, but Wars are a formidable side and a much better side without Metcalf there at the moment. So.
Well, humbleness. All right, I'll let it go. Now, boys, starting off this breakdown of the round ahead, captaincy, I think, is an easy one. It's Cleary all day for me.
Yeah.
I'm not taking.
I was going to go Turbo.
Yeah. No. Whatever fullback you touch gets injured. So no, please don't.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
In your defense, Brownie, if Walsh played a full game there, it was looking very dangerous.
Yeah, it was looking primed.
So moving into the buy, hold, sells, we'll go through team by team. Bulldogs first, Jacob Carraz. You boys are both owners. I thankfully missed that trap, but not because I wanted to, because I couldn't afford him at the time. So that's worked out to be a bit of a lucky play. But I will say this, there's going to be a time when he bounces back, and I do see him and Herbie as the season keeper pairing in the centres. It's all pending when Carraz is at 100%. So I'm heavily looking at him as soon as he hits his price floor. But how are you guys looking at him now? Do you just hold, or is the cash generation killer now?
He's the only player in my team that's losing money. So there's an element of me that wants to get rid of him so that I can get back to just having positive. But the reality is as soon as I sell him, I fix in a loss. And ultimately, as soon as he is becoming, less of a hold right now, he's becoming more of a buy for everybody else. And I'm acutely aware that if you sell him at some point, he's going to become a buy. So I may as well just hold I also want to watch what it's going to be like with him playing still on the left side with Bronson Sherry. There's a part of me that's quietly hoping that now that Crichton is actually out and all the changes that they're making, that maybe they put him back to his right wing. I don't know. So ultimately, all it's kind of screaming for me is a watch and a hold. If you don't own him, you'd have him very, very high in your watch list as a potential buy.
I know he only scored a 35, but it's a positive for me from what I saw.
Yeah,
Because guess what? He actually had 3 tackle busts this game.
No
yeah.
way.
He had 3
Screenshot.
tackle breaks.
And
So
3 offloads.
3 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, and guess what? No missed tackles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he didn't look to be laboured in the sense that every run he'd
yeah,
hold his shoulder or he'd go for a calf or go for anything. Actually, without his demerits, he would have put up 39 points in just base
Which is huge.
with
And
no tries, no try assists.
yeah,
yeah,
Bulldogs are playing crap. So like the attacking upside is nerfed to a degree because they're just not their usual selves. So if we see that increase, that it is positive, I guess, that there's no demerits, no like missed like everything is up in the stat columns that have been down since the start of the season.
yeah,
So if we do see the Bulldogs form turn around, that could signal the time to buy in.
yeah.
100,
Agree.
197 run meters too. So you could basically say 200 run meters.
Mm.
More than he's done in rounds 3 and 4. I don't want to say it's a full massive comeback, but he's trending in the right way.
Now, Jacob Preston is on my watch list. He's losing cash, historically slower starter, but it seems a bit different this year. It seems to just be a form thing. Bailey Hayward, you're holding now after last week's score, especially if you own Brayley. And then there's 2 more on the list. I'll kind of pivot to you guys on this. Lachlan Galvin, I'm not really interested in the investment, especially now that Crichton's down and it probably fixes Matt Burton there. But there are some coaches in the faithful that have him as a pod, or maybe just 1 or 2. He's a hold. Inari Tuwala, though, as a cash down potential to cover this winger fullback problem. Have you guys considered him at all? I'm off him. I'm not going to go near that, but he has been playing well.
He is my pod of the week.
Oh,
0.8% owned. He's going to get that duel at some point. Man, he's only had 1 try assist, no tries. He's putting up 43, 52, and 54 on pretty much just base.
Yeah,
He's getting a massive amount of tackles. Like he is looking for work. So I don't know any other centers who are putting up between the ranges of 21 to 30 tackles a game. He is. He's not missing many tackles.
and he's looking for those runs off of his own line.
Right, he's running the ball like crazy.
Yeah,
He's putting up winger, like literally taking the ball back kind of run meters. He's put up 216 and 157 the past 2 rounds.
is there any concern with him playing like against the Panthers this week and just like we've never seen this in his career?
There's immediate concern because of the matchup, but man, I don't know. It's kind of like he's flipped the script, and over a 3-game sample size, that's what I like to base it off. I don't like to base it off like 1 or 2. I want to see like 3 back-to-back games, and he's passing the eye test, which I really, really like. And if he's going to be a drill position, currently at 517,000, plays the first couple of buys, there is a case there. If he does well against Penrith, and Karaz kind of has another blunder, I will seriously consider the pivot.
I've actually got him in my team right now, just this week as like a bit of a play around, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my center wings, because I don't see him as that sort of cheapy cash out because of his base. Those cheapy cash outs that we've looked into have to score tries, have to be in every attacking play possible, where Tuala is doing it through defense, which is bizarre as an outside attacking player, to be able to have that sort of defensive mindset. And so against the Panthers, you're not going to have a team that you need to do more defense against. So he's got the potential of doing that many tackles and more. I guess the scary side of it is, could he also add a whole lot of missed tackles this round? Part of me that thinking of reversing that probably is more to where I'm sitting right now and watch this week and then jump next. Because the likelihood of him staying at about his current price right now is pretty likely against the Panthers.
So I really think that
Yeah.
you guys might be onto something here. And if you're willing to cop a potential or likely low score, let's say this week, I still think he scores over 20.
Yeah.
And
I think he scores over 30.
yeah,
35. I reckon 35 plus for him this week.
Totally, because of the defensive structure that he's a part of right now, and he is essentially one of, when it comes to scrambling, he's their best.
yeah.
He's been sensational.
And then if form turns around for the Bulldogs, then attacking upside becomes
Yeah.
more important as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm glad we had a look at him. That's very intriguing. I'm not going to go there because I can get far long on turbo, but far out in your range, Kenty, it's something to consider.
It is, yeah, which is why I'm playing with it at the moment.
We'll go across to Panthers. Now, Dylan Edwards has been a name thrown around on the list. No.
Guaranteed origin.
Yeah,
No.
don't buy that. So Tom Jenkins, he is priced at 713 odd K. I think he is now. Never been this highly priced ever in his career. He's broken the most tries scored after 5 rounds ever in rugby league history. That's 1908 until today. There is going to be a time where his try scoring purple patch dies. And if you buy this week, you're buying in at peak. I actually think Tom Jenkins is a high risk, weight more towards a void than a buy, but there's upside.
Totally.
If he continues this trajectory, he's going to keep making cash and scoring great points, but I just don't see it. The real interest for me is Brian To'o, who is really cheap and still losing cash. I'm looking to buy in on his upside, especially with Brian To'o's form demand origin selection. I think he's a name without a doubt that will get selected. But
I think he gets in just based on merit.
yeah. Casey McLean is probably one to throw in there too, but his name has been in the origin mix. And, I'm liking the upside and he's scoring for coaches that own him, but there's no guarantee that ever sticks long term. Like historically, he is just all tries and run meters.
Yeah. But going back to To'o, he would get in based off of that try that Nathan's girlfriend helped him score. Like he would get in immediately straight from there.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just someone to keep an eye on, I guess, maybe for a run home cash out or something like that. Yeah. Nathan Cleary, set for get captain. If you don't own him, just delete the app now. It's too far gone. And Isaiah Papali'i, he's burnt down. And Isaiah Yeo is a hold. Now, he has still yet to score under 50. I know his minutes and all this are concerning. I'm expecting his minutes to go down around 60 again this week, coming up against the Bulldogs side out of form and Jack Cogger and Mitch Kenny, both back in the side.
Yeah.
So
the reality is people really are only wanting to jump off Yo right now is because it's an uncomfortable watch, which has never, ever been that case for Yo. So it feels really risky. It feels really out there. But the reality is that we would happily sit with players in other positions with a different last name at this point in the season. Happily do that. But it's literally just because we're not used to this with Yo in every single game. You kind of sit there and you're riding every single tackle, every single point, and just hoping he gets to that 50. And so people aren't really enjoying the watch. But the reality is, name me too many other mids right now who are injury free, who aren't dropping cash, that are also averaging 55.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, firm hold. I'm glad I still own. Dragons versus Sea Eagles. Tyrell Sloan at fullback isn't a void. He is not a buy. He is playing temporarily with Clint Gutherson out, and Sedu 2 comes in on the wing, which I think is positive for us, being forced into that hold. Break even at 5. I'm just hopeful he scores well enough to give me one last price.
Just give me a 40.
Yeah, just
another 40.
Just the last hurrah 40 would be great.
Yeah, I agree. Daniel Atkinson moving to 6 actually signals massive sell for me. Not sure if you guys are on that same trajectory, but I think he now plays a job sharing role where him and Flano will kick.
I just am surprised that, for one, your dad is willing to throw you back in after that crazy head injury. So there's that. But if you put that aside, I'm also surprised that a coach thinks that he's solved his problems this week just by changing the number on the back of his 2 halfbacks. That's all he's done. At what point does that make any difference? And at what point does that save your season or do anything for your team when you've also got Cade Reed sitting in the 19? So what you should have done is gone, actually, let's give Kyle another week. We are 0-5. let's throw Reed in, give him a go. Let's see what happens. Let's take all pressure off him. Let's try this out. But no, he's changed the jersey numbers for his two halves, and we're fixed.
Yeah, and it's Jersey now. He's put his son at halfback, who
Yeah.
has never performed at NRL level. Never,
No.
ever, ever. Like, this is a worse side than what I've
Oh,
seen in the first 5 weeks. So thank you, 6-0. The real issue at the Dragons is Shane Flanagan, in my opinion. And I don't like crapping on coaches. And look, I'm sure Shane Flanagan will be a great coach at a different club, but it's clearly not working here. This kind of move and the way he approached the post-match press conference last week, I just don't see Dragons getting any better. And it's positive they're forwards, because I think it's just going to keep demanding massive minutes out of these younger guys, huge for fantasy potential. But for him to go, I'm really disappointed in the team, and
yeah.
I'm ultimately going to have to take the brunt of this because I'm the coach. It's like, you just blamed your team for not performing and then tried to make out that you were taking responsibility for that, when really all you were doing was throwing shade on your player group. And you pick the team at the end of the day, mate, and you are picking a shocking team every week. Tyrell doesn't have X factor. You dropped Sedu 2 after 2 weeks when he wasn't the problem. You've got Atco and Flanagan in the halves, where Flanagan should be scrapped. Cade Reed should be in. And yes, I agree, Atkinson should be 6, but that that solution isn't Flano at 7.
No.
Half a brain after that concussion. Like he's to put your own son in that health risk. Like, yeah, I don't like it. I think that the playing group's off him, in my opinion.
Well, that's the talk today, is that potentially he's lost the playing group, that the playing group are already starting to ice him out.
Well, man,
which has got shades of what happened at the Sharks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where they just completely disregarded him and left him high and dry.
And they're even desperate for a fullback. Like Trey Fuller's just knocked him back. So news has just come out about that. They're now desperate to try and sign Drinkwater. It's like, your captain's on the sideline injured. I know Gutho isn't the player he used to be, and he's probably a main issue as to why that attack isn't clicking. But
he's their best defender.
Exactly. But the way you're going about it, like, your captain's injured on the sideline and you're going, oh, we'll go for Trey Fuller. Trey Fuller's knocked us back. What do we do? Oh, we'll go sign. We'll make a play for Scott Drinkwater. And it's just like, you're seeming desperate, and you're like trying to reach for any kind of solution.
And now the board has put a freeze on all player contracts.
Yep.
So that tells you a whole lot as well.
Yeah, the club's going into meltdown. I think that's what's happening. And
they're getting rid of him.
There was news as well that Gutho and Damien Cook did like a player sit down, and they aired out their grievances, and it was like an honesty session. But that's not going to change anything.
No, it's just going to heighten tensions. Well, let's move into the Sea Eagles, boys. The only person I care about in this team, with a couple of other pod interests, is Tommy Turbo.
Toby Hetherington.
Playing him this 3 easy games. What is it? Dragons, Cowboys, Eels, something like that.
Yeah, spot on.
Very easy. Tolu Kola is one that I think will benefit hugely from that too. So huge pod option there.
I was going to say Kola is right there behind Turbo for sure. I think the way in which he's playing, the way that they're attacking, the way that Tommy is sweeping that side, and in broken play, it's killer. It's essentially what I was calling, and watching really closely between Walsh and Shibasaki. This is that for Manly. It's Turbo and Kola is pretty killer. And if you are short of a centre, I would seriously be looking at Kola right now.
Yeah, he's huge. No origin. The other thing I will note on Kola is when Turbo went off with his HIA, Kola went to fullback.
Correct. Huge.
If he goes to fullback, dude, he becomes arguably the best winger fullback in the game, with his potential scoring output. Oh, well, assuming that foreign-led Sea Eagles are still scoring 50+ against every team every week. That'll have to do with it. Ruben Garrick is tanking and definitely of no interest without goal kicking anymore. Ben Trebojevic had a good game. I think some coaches will pay interest there, but it's super unreliable.
Oh, yeah.
And Hamoli Olakawatu also had a bumper game, but again, he is proven.
But what that does show you, though, is that, the individuals had these crazy big games and whatever else. What I liked about that, though, is it showed you that as a forward pack, they were much better. They were attacking very, very differently. They were actually looking to run, not just pass out to their wider channels. So
Yeah.
to me, when you look at how they scored last week, there was like double the run meters. It was kind of like Foreign said, I actually want you forwards to run. Where Seabold, for some reason, wanted them to sit passively, watch and see for the next 3 weeks to see now, do you get an Olakoatu who joins the rest of the edges, who actually runs and gets offloads and gets into the attack, like we've seen the other edges. He's pretty high on my watch list for interest. And as a forward pack, are they much, much better? That hopefully would help Olakoatu.
I can tell you what Olakau'atu didn't do.
No.
Tackle.
Yeah, mental.
6 tackles with a score of 71.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, get
But he
out.
was running, bro. So,
Yeah, man, he tore up. 272 run meters. I think that's the most he's.
That is. It's
I
pretty good.
think that Turbo, what was it last week? I think Turbo had more tackles than Olakoatu.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's a job.
Yeah, bro. 6 tackles for an edge.
So Broncos Cows. The big one for me, Reece Walsh, gone 4 to 6 weeks. He's a sell. It brings Jesse Arthurs in at fullback. Now, a really, really deep dive on his fullback stats, so 1 game sample size, 80 minutes, is a 40-plus score. That is not something I'm buying into with the current Broncos side. It is something that I will give energy to, but I need to watch it for a week to see how it plays out. I think winger fullback is a problem, and I'm not looking to take a risk to amplify that potential issue long term by buying into a Jesse Arthurs. But how do you guys see him?
I see him for this week as a straight up avoid. There's just too many random things going on with the team through injuries. We also don't know what their half pairing is actually going to look like. So Reynolds has been named now, but who knows if he actually stays and gets scratched late, which is kind of what I'm assuming. So how does that play out for your fullback? Is he actually going to be involved? What actually happens with the team's attack? There's just far, far too many questions for me. And I don't want to be jumping into that and then be stuck with a winger fullback plotter who is giving me trap vibes, very similar to Cobo.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that if Arthurs wasn't in the starting run-on side for the wing to begin the season, it's highly unlikely he's been doing many reps at fullback. So I think it's Broncos are going to be up against it. But what about you, Brownie? You mentioned at the start of the pod, you see it's slightly different.
I see him as kind of like a risky buy in the sense that, yeah, he's played like 1.5 games sample size at fullback because he shifted to fullback when Walsh went off. And he did a pretty good job. He's a defensively sound guy. He'll get the run meters. He'll get a few tackle breaks. And I think and this is where the risk comes into it. So you see it from 2 sides. If you buy him, you only get a 4 to 6 window for him to make any cash. And you want an average of like 40 plus out of him to cement that kind of mentality. But if you get him in and he only serves up like a 32 to a 35 average, he's not going to make much cash at all. And you're going to be stuck in quicksand trying to offload him when Walsh comes back. It's a massive risk. I can see potential, like a little bit of upside just because of how the Broncos play. So they're going to be pretty reliant on him because Reynolds isn't full health. Mam's going to have to be doing like nearly 100% of the work. And he's going to be looking for those support players to help him out. And I think Arthur's is probably going to be one of them.
Mam controlling the team worries the hell out of me for the scoring.
Yeah.
Like just you saying that, I want no part of that team.
Yeah. Well, we saw in the first half, he was abysmal. Like Mam was shocking. And then the second half, he kind of just like turned it around and he became the guy to lean on. And he did a pretty good job. So, but yeah, Mam's not that kind of guy that you can rely on 100% of the time. So, yeah.
I think it's a good segue then into where the benefit actually lies here for the Broncos. And if we don't see any upside in their attack, defense becomes a big factor. Now, we'll put in 2 here. We've got Payne Haas, who we all said to sell last week. You can arguably hold as well. It really depended how you wanted to play that out. Sell ended up being the narrative that was correct. And for me, there's a clear winner there, and it's Patrick Carrigan. We've now seen 2 80-minute games where he's at 60-plus scores. I've thankfully owned him since preseason, so I'm now realizing the benefit of that now. He hasn't moved up in ownership at all this week, still at 6.3%, because this happens to him every single year. There's always something better in the market. You got Alex Twal this week that everyone would rather chase, and here we go. Patrick Carrigan stays under the radar again. And then each week we get closer to Origin. Each week people aren't interested in the buy, and he stays a pod virtually all season. Now, that moves me into Haas, who we knew came into last game with an AC joint injury. His minutes weren't too bad, but his output has been down all season, regardless of that AC joint injury. He now put out a 41, has a break even in the 80s. He's lost a ton of cash. He's in the 800K bracket. My position is you sell him. Get rid of him, dude. And it might be to get in a turbo, and then now you beef up that cash or something like that to push in a different direction. But there is the hold narrative there as well, because as you mentioned last week too, Kenty, you only realize the loss in a player when you sell.
Yeah.
So do you hold Haas or do you sell? I'm in the position of sell to Carrigan, if that is a logical move for you. Heaps of upside. You put cash in the bank and someone that's got a 40 break even this week playing 80 minutes a lock in a game where perceivably the defense might be up. But how do you guys see it?
It's a lot of cash to just watch dwindle. 86 break even right now. And essentially this time of the year, we're trying to not hold any player that is throwing cash down a big gaping hole. And I see Haas as being that, especially this week, if not further. So, I mean, he could end up losing. And then over the, last week, this week, 3 weeks, he could end up losing 100K. I know it's a massive call, but do you want that? So from my perspective, I'd be selling, and I would be big on going to Carrigan because he's going to hold a whole lot of that, work rate, and he's still got plenty of cash to make.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because if you think about it like this, we know historically, stat-wise, Payne Haas's strongest part of the season is the beginning. Now, if he's declining now, not only does he play Origin, the Broncos have a horrible schedule over Origin. So he's not going to get much game time over that period. So now if you sell and he dwindles in cash, foreseeable that he may maintain that value over the Origin period. Buy him back in the run home. As soon as you get your +8 trades, go bang, now I'm going to buy Haas at a low. Obviously, it depends. But for me, it's like get out now while the value in the market is huge. A lot of people are going to go Haas to Twal, but I think that ship has somewhat sailed to a degree. No, it hasn't. Like, you could still buy Twal 100%. It would be a very, very great trade in. But the cash on Haas is now lower. The price on Twal is now higher. The margin was better last week. I don't know. How do you see it, Browny? Are you on the sell train? I noticed you put a hold and you buy, hold, and sell. And I could see both sides. So, yeah. How are you looking at it?
I was on the sell train last week purely from a team dynamic. It didn't really work out the way we wanted with Marnie playing 80 minutes, but, whatever. That'll change. But look, this week, the way I see it, and I see it from kind of like I want to see it from a coach's perspective. You've lost your big gun in Reece Walsh. You're probably going to miss out on Reynolds. Like, he's not going to be in the team. You need leaders to stand up. You need your veteran guys to stand up. And that is Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, and Ezra Mam in this side. And I know with the AC joint injury, like, that was why we basically pivoted last week. And it showed 43 points. But this week, if I was still an owner, so say if I already had 12, I would be more inclined to hold. And I know he's going to lose cash still, because if he gets a 60-70, he loses 20K again. The Queensland Derby is always a neck and neck game. It's very hard fought. It's very, very close. Always very close. So I see Haas having a bigger role.
And I mean, Haas can stand up, but he doesn't have a leg injury. He's a shoulder injury. So he can be there for plenty of minutes. I just don't see the fantasy output being anything like what we would expect him to do. So I can see him playing 60-65 because they need him.
Yeah,
I just
50.
I just do not see him kind of really outscoring a 55, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll go into Cowboys, boys. Now, get some easy ones out of the way here. Chester is a buy, hold over Origin period. Center wing, fullback, DPP, proved himself. I don't care if he dwindles in price at some point. Like what we've seen he could put out. firm hold. Lukey is a keeper. He's definitely someone, if you don't own, you should own and be looking to hold on to now. He's in Noah Martin territory. Again, all of this could change. And just wanted to throw out there, Jake Clifford, firm avoid. I know he put up a massive score last week and he's looking in form, but this happened around the exact same period last year and he fell off. So it's, don't touch people like this that rise up in pod value. There is known guns like Nico Hines, literally just around the corner, who I'd much prefer to put my cash into after the bye. But the big ones here, Marnie is where I'll start in the hold sell narrative. Now, it proved to be better to hold him last week by 1 point over Blake Brayley. But this is what his profile looks like. So a deeper statistical dive shows that against sides where Cowboys attack is on point, they miss less tackles. Now, that's a team perspective generally. Now, Marnie, who we know is a missed tackle machine, didn't miss many tackles in that game, and that's what didn't nerf his upside. Plus, he played 80 minutes, which we didn't expect. Now, I think against the Broncos, that reverts again. You got Payne Haas running at him, Willison running at him, Patrick Carrigan running at him, Ricky, Piakura all over the field. I think missed tackles run rampant on Reid Marnie. You held last week, you won. His break even still in the 40s. We have no guarantee that he'll play 80 minutes again. I think the plays get off him. The question is who to. If you go to Brayley, you now need to use another trade for Brendan Smith next week. Well, that's the one we're looking at the moment. Or do you just go to Harry Grant and secure that hooker role for round 7? Again, I'm still sold on Grant and Brayley being the two guys you need. I think Marnie will be a problem again this week, but he does cover a hole in round 7 if you just hold through. So how are you guys seeing the Marnie narrative?
I agree. I think you got to hold 2 weeks. I don't think you can sell him now. You held him last week, and you've now made your bed for 3 weeks. Just like how Browny was saying with Haas, Marnie was a sell last week. He's a hold this week, and you're going to have to just ride this week, next week, and then you reassess after, and you go for a gun, and then go from there. You could potentially sell this week and go to Grant, but ultimately, because you're so close to Brayley having his buy done, and ultimately he's the better fantasy hooker, you're better off just to get to Brayley, and so you'd wait the 2 weeks, get to Brayley, and then push on from there. Because the other thing too is that Grant's guaranteed Origin, Brayley's still a possibility of making it or not. So I would far rather gamble with the possibility rather than the assured position.
And that's the issue, isn't it? Is that I knew this was going to happen with Marnie, not that he would get a 50, but I knew that if I didn't get him out last week to get Brayley, that he's going to continue being a sub 500k hooker that does well some weeks, bad other weeks, and you're going to be stuck with this problem for multiple weeks now. And we've also got a problem with winger fullback, so like we don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks where more problems are inevitably going to rise up. And you could now be forced into a continuous hold on Marnie because he's just not presenting the urgency of escape. And now all of a sudden you've spent 10 weeks with a sub 50 average hooker that has essentially, you've lost every single week that you don't move to a Brayley or a Grant. You're losing in that head-to-head battle by 10 to 15 points every single week. So I think it is an urgent problem coaches need to focus on, but now you've already locked yourself into the hole for round 7. Drinkwater. How are you looking at him? Now, I know you've asked questions about him. I know your interest is there. I'm firm in the category of you never buy into Josh Drinkwater. Maybe that would inspire some better scoring from him if he changed his name. But Scott Drinkwater is someone you never touch in fantasy until the origin period he's a flat track bully against weak sides. You buy into him if he's sub 600k. You use him for origin coverage. Usually he'll skip up to like a 650, 680k price point, get him out in the run home and chase someone like Latrell Mitchell after origin. That's typically the play. Now, I won't be buying into him, but winger fullback is a tough market, and he's in that mid 500k or high 500k bracket, I'm pretty sure still. What's your take?
It's kind of a case if you don't really want to go to the reach of, say, like a Latrell, Turbo, or Teddy. If you can't get that reach, then he's like he's essentially your next best option. His buy schedule is fantastic for Origin, and it looks like he's kind of overcome that rib issue. I'm hesitant to say go for him because I've seen this from Drinkwater. I've been an owner in the past. He does up these good scores and then he'll just
Yeah.
flatline for like 3 weeks. And you're like, why the hell did I buy in? And then you got to hop off
Yeah.
him. And then he goes into this purple patch again where he just scores well. And I just want to think to myself, like, man, he's scoring well. Cowboys, the 3 wins in a row. They've finally found a bit of form. Can I see this continuing? They've got the Broncos and a Queensland derby coming up. I think he could have a pretty good game. He's obviously not goal kicking. That's Clifford's job currently. If he was goal kicking, I'd be more inclined to say, man, I'm just going to take the punt, stuff it. But then they got Seagulls, Sharks, Bulldogs, Eels, Roosters, Rabbitohs up until the bye. So a very mixed but more hard schedule.
Yes, and that's exactly where I jump on here. Is that yes, you usually try and buy Drinkwater at the beginning of his purple patches, but if you buy in now, you're buying after a 66, a 56, and a 57.
Yeah.
There's going to be a time where it dies, and I think his career average 38.67 against the Broncos, 41.75 against the Seagulls, 44.5 against the Sharks, 46.33 against the Bulldogs. So 4 games in a row with a sub 50 average until he hits the Eels with a 59 average. I think the purple patch stops now. He won't score horribly, especially against the weakened Broncos pack, but I see him as like a 45 guy until Origin now.
And 2 things you have to do with him is you buy and you just have to hold, and you have to hold for a long time to be able to get anywhere with him. And I don't know if I'm up for that. He's that perfect example of the carrot and the stick. He's both. He toys with you and he pulls you in and you think yes, and you're gaining ranks, and you use his score to mock your mates, like, look, I got these awesome scores. And then just around the corner, he's the stick and he beats you over the head week after week with crap scores, with terrible defense, with lazy play. And you just think, why the hell did I own him? But you just got to wait because the carrot is just around the corner. And then ultimately, he'll average you 45 over 10 hideous rounds.
Yeah. He's a risk. Now, I think him in that category. He is a high risk option. And this is the other issue that we're going to see coaches fall into this week. There's layers to this. First of all, weakest layer of strategy is you're chasing Twal, you're chasing this market, ignoring your winger fullback problem. Those coaches are going to be worst off long term. That's why the whole banner in this podcast is fix your issues underneath round 6 banner for our little YouTube thumbnail, because it's like, hey, fix your problems. Stop chasing the market. There's going to be coaches that in majority that will chase the market regardless. Then the next best coaches will look to fix their winger fullback problems generally, but they'll do it with the wrong guys. It'll be Water, Tom Jenkins, and these guys that are high risk, or say spending up on a Latrell Mitchell, when I think you're basically getting the same archetype in Tom Turbo for 100k less. Turbo has the easier schedule, but we'll go into that soon. And then you've got the guys that will buy right. And unfortunately, we never know what the right or the wrong answer is, but I know working on winger fullback is going to ultimately be the best play this week for coaches that need to fix that issue. But Drinkwater is there's nothing saying he doesn't just come out and score a 9 against the Broncos. Like, that's how bad his floor can be. But his ceiling has been great. But I will say that the ceiling without goal kicking, a 66 high for someone at 600k with history of risk and downside, I think is too steep for me. But let's move into the next guy here. And you've kind of had him in your brain a little bit, Kenty, on the live commentary, and it's Jackson Purdue. So I'm a bit like he's needing tries to score points right now, and you've got Tom who's kind of doing it all even without tries. So what's your take there on him? I'm of the avoid narrative, but he's interesting.
Yeah, I've just got him as a watch because when they start playing better and when they attack better, he becomes quite a key member of the spine, because basically he starts moving into a first receiver. He starts kind of being that Johnny on the spot where he backs up so well. He almost starts taking over from Drinky a little bit. But as soon as they get put under the pump, or they're not switched on and they're not fluid in their attack, he'll tank. So it's beyond risky. It's watch only, but it's something just to keep an eye on, because he is a player that's got masses and masses of talent that I think at some point is going to be a potential buy. I think we're getting closer to it, but I'd want to see probably 3 games in a row that he can be consistently part of the attack and do things other than just score tries. I want to see that there is base stats there that you can rely on. Yeah, and because that's essentially why I don't like Jenkins as a fantasy player, because he has just broken every single record known to man when it's come to scoring tries. We haven't seen what his output or base is like without tries. And I would say that his base is pretty awful, considering that, he's scored something like 66 points with 3 tries, or even less points. So you take those tries away, you're looking at a 20 to 30 scorer, but you've paid for a 50 average.
Now, last one on the Cowboys, guys. I think he's cheapie of the week. It's Kai O'Donnell. Now, we've got an issue now with winger fullbacks in surplus as cheapies. We've seen that fail. Joash Papali'i, 29, is probably the best in the market right now for winger fullback cheapies. Sedutu's failed. Fayamani's failed. Marcassini isn't really going anywhere. I don't want to keep pushing out my cash generators or failed mid-rangers into these guys, because we're not seeing anything in their uprise. Jesse Arthurs is another one that we're seeing on the list this week. But Kai O'Donnell is an edge in a market where edges have dominated. He's passed the eye test for me. Last week when he come on the field, played limited minutes, he was super active, running the ball hard, looking for involvement, coming in for defense. Statistically, it doesn't really match up, and he's played 1 game in 80 minutes on the edge for a 45. But price at 23, in that just crossing the 300K bracket, I think if you're looking for a cash out in the edge that isn't, say, a Brendan Smith for hooker coverage next week, he's probably your best bet considering the landscape that we're in. Cowboys don't have the worst schedule coming up, and it does indicate that defense will be more prevalent. So he's got about a 4-week window before Jeremiah Nanai turns back and likely gets a walk-in start and O'Donnell goes back to the bench. But if he can just score, say, 40s for the next 4 weeks, there's 150K. So have you guys got any consideration towards him at all? Like, I'm not buying him this week as much as I'd like to give it a punt. I've got other issues to fix. But, yeah, any interest?
I have none.
None?
No, bro.
Because when you talked about him, I had a look into him. And anytime he's played over 60 in the edge, his high scores are 45, and then otherwise he's a 29-37 in his 3 games, and they were all over 60 minutes. Yeah, and they were against a raft of, Storm, Dolphins, Sharks.
Cool.
So he's had a bit of a range of rubbish teams, still didn't do all that well.
Yeah.
Better teams got killed.
Yeah.
And his missed tackles, minimum 2 and higher. Yeah, he doesn't run for a whole lot. And basically his highest score came from 43 tackles, and he scored a 45. So basically it feels like Hayward all over again.
Interesting.
And McIntyre's only out 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So you could possibly only look at a 2-week window.
Yeah, true. Which does nerf the upside. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe not cheapie of the week, but still, I'm still going to hold it there because I think he's better than the wing fullback that are on the market.
But you make a good point. Yeah, this week is not the week, even though we need winger fullbacks. It's not the week to get cheapy winger fullbacks.
No.
This is the week to bolster, not to cash out. And we were only getting cheapy winger fullbacks to be able to bolster other positions. We need to bolster that position.
Yes.
This week. So it's not the opportunity to do that. So if you need to cash out, I would be far more inclined to take a flyer and cash out to Cheese, and just hope and pray that he has a good week. Use the cash that you've potentially made to then get a much better winger fullback, not a cheapy wing fullback.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to move into the Souths too, is Brendan Smith. Now, one thing to overlay with all the South players is they play all major bye rounds if they're not in Origin. Huge benefit to them. If anything, they're right up there with the Dolphins, who play 5 of the 6 major minor bye rounds this year, which is huge.
Yeah.
So what I love about Brendan Smith is he is the perfect whole fit. He plays all majors when the Origin players don't play. But even though I see a logic in... did I say something wrong? What happened, boys? Say it. Let's say it.
I was trying not to look at you,
I
Browny.
was looking at Kenty.
Something I said about the whole fit.
He's a perfect whole fit.
Yeah, okay. Well, that wasn't an intentional innuendo, but I can't help but just spray them.
And then also it doesn't help our narrative from the start of the podcast that we're the mature ones.
Yeah. Oh, well, now maybe you will have a fight over the store.
Oh,
But the perfect whole fit, Brendan Smith. It plays all the major buys. If you've got someone like Brayley or Grant, he's going to play in the weeks that these guys are rested. Great. But the calf issue was a worry. He's kind of had these niggles throughout his career where he's constantly in and out. But we've also never seen him priced this cheap. Break even at 23. I think he's a certainty. Hooker mid DPP is great. I ideally won't look to buy him until next week when I actually need that problem solved. But coaches looking for a cash out, like you said, I think he's perfect cash down bait. Next move here is Fafita. Now, again, presents the same benefit. Likely not going to play Origin considering his form, plays all majors. We know what he's capable of, but it's kind of getting beyond that point now of he's still priced 10K higher than what he started the season at, but like I'm just not seeing anything from him now. I'm using him as cash bait to get into Turbo this week, so he's gone from my team, but I can understand a hold and a sell narrative. How are you guys seeing it?
I am holding simply for the fact that I see him as that pivot point in 2 weeks back down to Ryan Couchman if I haven't seen a change of form.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he would be my pivot point to Lasati, just depending on what happens with Lasati and all the rest of that. Because currently I've still got Rauchman in my emergencies dying down there somewhere. And it just hasn't worked out to sell him. At this point, I've had bigger fires. But yeah, I can totally see that he's got the potential to be massive for Origin. Depleted teams, maybe he could come good, but I think the biggest thing that you actually need to see him get a whole lot better at is his attitude. He
Yeah.
just looks so lazy.
There was a positive in his output last week now that I did see, and it was when he come back on in after his stint on the sideline back in the second half and he played right side. I think that's their future. Tallis Duncan is way better of attacking player. The line he runs is so much more beneficial to that edge, whereas Fafita constantly overruns. So even though he's playing that block option that could be a short ball, he's never in a position where it's like going to happen. And I'm saying this based on repeated evidence of it all season so far. Like he's either behind the run or in front of the run. And again, his laziness. Whereas I see the benefit for him is if they could put Tallis Duncan on that left side and spread a bit of the focus in their attack to the right side with David Fafita now demanding attention. Doesn't matter how in or out of form he is. Teams need to cover him. I think his benefit comes from taking runs in the middle of the field, tackle busts, run meters on that right side to then free up the left side. So there is a whole narrative there that I think deserves attention, but it all depends on whether or not he plays right or left. And that's not something I'm willing to bet on now with a break even in the 40s. Like I'm thankful I can get rid of him. And now another thing I want to add to that too is you've made this clear, Brownie, is the downgrade narrative back to Couchman Lasati. That's something we have to consider if we want to elongate cash gen. The problem I see is that Joe Chan is making cash now and may very well be a hold if he continues the output and the average. So he's someone to consider, but his break even's at 31. I think Ethan Sanders is about to go. He's someone I'm using to get back down to Couchman Lasati. Aramahau is doing great. You've got Fayamani, Sedu too. These guys we need to get rid of. Marcassini is about to become a problem. Now, Trey Mooney, also a problem. I'm actually seeing a lot more options that could be used as cash downs for Lasati and Chan. And that's kind of why my urgency to get rid of Fafita is now here. It's like I can just go straight to Turbo with him and keep 188K in the bank. So I think that's probably important to say is that as much as I love that whole narrative, because you've just got certainty there now, giving a known gun a chance to prove himself. And if he doesn't, you've got an out in 2 weeks' time. But there is more outs we need to consider. Like Ethan Sanders is not a season keeper. I don't care what creators are promoting that. He's going to peak and then he's going for me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're going to have a whole lot of them all peak and need to be shifted all at once. So there is also a world that this week could be a really good week to shift one of them.
Yeah. Now, Tallis Duncan pod, I'm not really too high on it right now, but if he does get named on that left-hand side and he gets the guaranteed minutes upside, without this rotation in different positions, he's someone that I would definitely consider at the price point. We've all seen him nearly hit 700K last season when he was playing in this role. Is there any interest there? 1.7% ownership, 66 point last week, 29 break even.
Watching, but you would need to know that he had the 80 and they've already mucked him around. They did it with Aitken, then they mucked him around as well. So I'm not that keen to jump on there right
Yeah.
now. I'd far rather go and spend a whole lot of money and go to KPP.
Yes, mate. Me
Yeah.
too, bro. KPP looks juicy. I do
Yeah.
think KPP will see downside, but we'll get to that in the Tigers part. Last one on Rabbits is Latrell Mitchell. Now he's a certain buy for sure. Like based on his scoring and centre wing fullback DPP is impressive. He's basically the next best option to Herbie, but he plays Origin. We're now another round closer, and his upcoming games aren't necessarily easy. Like he's going to have easy time, but I just love the upside in him. He kicks goals. He's coming in for in-play kicking. He is the main beneficiary on their attacking left side. So like he's always going to be up for points. But for 670K, you could just save some of that money and go to a Turbo who has a very easy next three. And that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. Plus Turbo's lower risk of Origin based on the news we've got so far. So I won't talk people out of going to Latrell. I think it's a great buy. But what are you guys seeing now? I think it's just too risky.
Yeah, I feel similarly that it's risky, but if you're going to do well in this game, you got to be able to take some calculated risks. And I think if you look at any of the risks that you can take this week, I think you can do much worse and get yourself in a much bigger hole than going Latrell. I think, yeah, it was either last week, this week. I think this is the last week to get him.
It's crazy to me. He's up at like 12.9%.
Yeah. He's got household name status for sure. A
Like
lot of competitive coaches won't have him. But yeah, he's yeah, dude, I could get him. I've got the cash to go him instead of Turbo, but I want that cash in the bank. Hey, it's
That's
tough.
the thing, though. If you get him, it's just another guy to trade at Origin time because he'll miss round 12 and 13, and he'll miss rounds 15 and 16.
Yeah.
So it's like if you buy him,
You just can't. You cannot hold him over Origin.
No.
I agree.
No.
Way too hard.
Yeah. Now moving into Raiders, Sanders is a hold at least for one more week. Give him a chance. His break even is still achievable based on his average. Tarpany is still a watch for me. But again, we just seen what happened when Josh Papali'i come back. He just reverted back to the exact same rotation. So we're not seeing anything there that screams buy. Noah Martin is a keeper. We've established that well and truly. The only interesting one here for me is Simi Sasungi as a pod buy. Now, I've had it week after week for the last 3 weeks. Some coaches, then more coaches, and the most coaches, considering him last week. Now, I think his position there is now pretty secure. He is just performing week in, week out, edge center DPP. I think there's worse options you could consider. And I do see a lot of upside in him if the Raiders start to all of a sudden flip their form and start scoring points. Do you guys have any interest in him as a pod option? Like, I'm not going to push it, but I think he's definitely one that I wouldn't say don't buy him if a coach come to me now.
Oh, I'd agree. He's got like pretty much 9 points of value just now if he maintains his 52, 53 average. So, and I guess the biggest narrative around people kind of going, oh, can we buy him is what's happening with Timoko, and is he going to be back or not? And can you really hold him? Stuart said, oh, at some point we'll bring Timoko back, but we haven't seen that. So, yeah, and we know what he can be like with, what he says and what he does can be two very, very separate things. So, and he's got a floor of a 36, 41, and then everything else has been basically in the 60s. So, I think he's a screaming buy. He is just getting expensive, and he will be a very expensive centre if he then gets shifted again somewhere else. So, which we can see time and time again. So, I wouldn't talk you out of it, but I think I'm probably looking at priorities in other places that I'd rather put that money in.
Long term, if I was ever to invest, I would want to see if there was an injury in the back line. So, an injury to like either Young, Martin, cross fingers, hopefully not. And he gets that position at second row in the coming rounds. So then he was that center edge DPP, and that's when I would inject him into my side right from the get-go. Like if he was named at second row and he had dual, straight to my centers, done.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I fully agree. Sharks, Roosters. This one's not really that much going on here. Jesse Colquhoun is, again, another one of these options you could use as a cash down to Lasadia Couchman. So I'd hold this week, even though his scoring is dwindled. Blake Brayley is a buy. Nico Hines is a pod buy over Origin that I think we'll all be targeting. The issue is they have a buy next week. So it's very hard to justify getting into any of them this week. And then you've got Iro, who is still on a watch list for me because I cannot ignore where he has been in the past and how poorly he's going right now. It's kind of like Valentine Holmes right now as well, as doing the exact same stuff. And Sharks do have a tough schedule right now, but his eye test is failing big time. Like, he just looks completely different player this year. So I want to see the change before I buy in, but Origin period is definitely interesting. And one I will just flag that I haven't made as a little topic is Britton Nickera playing off the bench again is going to tank his value like crazy. And I think that this is decreasing his prominence as an Origin selection. And he's someone I'm strongly interested in over the Origin period as a cash out or a pod option. But anything there for you guys in the Sharkies?
No, I already have Brady.
Yeah. Same. I was going to touch on Hiroti.
Oh, yeah.
Because Raymond's out 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. Fair.
Obviously, at the price range that Iro's at, I would rather take Iro over Hiroti. But we've seen Hiroti average at center over his career. He averages 38.7, but he's had 2 injury-ridden games where he played 34 and 37 minutes, where his scores were heavily deducted. So you could probably make a case if he played those 4 games, he would easily average over 40, probably towards even 45. So he's a 45 average at center. At the price point he's at, it's a bit of a gamble and it's a risk. But I just like the way he plays. He's a very aggressive player.
Yeah.
And yeah.
He's 500k, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the detractor. Hey,
that's what I mean. Iro's only an extra 30k on top of that.
Yeah.
So
he's definitely worth a look, though, man. Center wing fullback DPP. I haven't looked into Hiroti at all. I'm assuming he's center wing fullback DPP. Yeah. The next guys, Roosters, I think Wong is on a pod radar for me. The fact that he's at edge, but there's so many mouths to feed in this forward pack. Still not convinced in a buy-in. Connor Watson's losing cash like crazy. Victor Radley returns. There's just another mouth there. Crichton is losing cash, so he's on a watch list. But the real interest area in this team, outside of all of that, is James Tedesco. Now, he's the one that's least likely to play Origin out of all the winger fullbacks that we can say. But he's got a break even in 68 against the Sharks this week. I'm inclined to watch him, and he's the one that I'd look to buy into next week. But if he's your only option and you want that, it's more a conservative coach angle. If you're a really conservative coach and you're trying to avoid Origin potential, then Teddy is the obvious option outside of Fa'alongo. So I wouldn't say don't buy Teddy this week, but I would definitely encourage coaches to give him one more week, buy him at his floor, consider it in round 7.
I'll do that, but I'll consider over Origin pretty heavily. I think you just have to.
Yeah.
It's Teddy. Like, you just have to have him over Origin.
And he's similar to Drinky that we've watched in the last 2 seasons that he hasn't played Origin. He tears teams apart. So he's going to be pretty much must-have. You're
going to want him for sure. Next, guys, Storm versus Waz. Can't wait to watch this head-to-head. Fa'alongo is a buy. If you don't own him, you're buying him this week, no doubt. Use Walsh to get to Fa'alongo. I assume that'll be the most popular trade for coaches that don't own Fa'alongo. Outside of that, I think Grant is a hold, obviously. Bone bruising on the knee is a bit of a concern, but he wanted to come back on last week. So I don't think there's any issue with him playing. Plus, they need that leadership. Chan, obvious hold. I wouldn't buy now. Outside of that, there is a watch that you guys know I have on Nick Meaney, but that is very, very much wait until Origin, see where he's priced at, then look to jump in. Jerome Hughes, I think, is just about to lose any potential upside once Lasardi or Bloor gets named on that left edge. We've already seen a change now with Cooper Clark named to start, who I think is a massive avoid, by the way. And outside of that, Utuika Manu is not scoring where I think he should be scoring, but he's not demanding a trade out. It's kind of like...
No, he's still a hold.
A hold.
Outside of all of that, you guys kind of see it the same. I see the Storm as a bit of a problem outside Fa'alongo right now.
Yeah, no, I see it the same way. I think Fa'alongo is probably your main one. We kind of touched on Grant earlier. But I guess the big thing for me out of this game is going to be really seeing what happens with Boyd and Ford. Ford had another sort of lower game last round. So does that continue? What does Boyd do? Does he go back to what we saw at the start of the season? Does he kind of regain that sort of momentum and confidence? It's really a confidence thing for him, and I'm really hopeful that confidence hasn't been knocked with all of the chopping and changing that he's had in the halves with him. So
for a fantasy perspective, I think you wouldn't buy Boyd, but you'd definitely be holding and watch this week, because I think that the same thing we seen with Metcalf returning, where they had destabilization, you might see a bit of that for a week, and there'll be destabilization, and then you'll see Boyd get back. But yeah, for Boyd owners that have had since round one, you're loving that Metcalf isn't there anymore. I think it screams upside for Boyd again, and if he gets back to this bloody 80s he was scoring, man, it's going to be hard not owning.
But having CHT, he goes back to round 1 and 2. So it shouldn't be too destabilizing, because it's not someone he hasn't worked with. It's not someone he hasn't had success with. He's got the recipe to be able to just do his thing and kind of go from there. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah. Now, Jackson Ford, I'm interested to hear your talk here, Brownie. See if you have any opinions on this. I think you don't buy him now, but if you own, you continue holding. He's definitely going to continue playing elevated minutes without Barney. And I think the play is that he's not Alex Twal, clearly. He's the play to take. But Ford, if you own, you're just holding until Barney returns is probably the way I do it. Because I don't think Barney's in line for Origin now this year. The fact he's like kind of been in and out, playing from the bench, like it doesn't signal Origin must have, but it's Laurie Daly. So,
there's always that chance.
Yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't look to buy in. I'd definitely watch him this week, purely because we've seen his scoring profile when he plays big minutes, but that's also with tries as well. And I don't know about you, Kenty, what your opinion is on this, but I think he has been put through the ringer the first opening few rounds, and had Webster's demanded a lot from him, playing such a role for 80 minutes up the middle. And now I think maybe that's kind of catching up on him, and there's a bit of fatigue. So I think
I'd agree.
Ideally, if I was an owner, big minutes is awesome. That's great. But I want to see him around where he was last week, around that 65 minutes is probably the best for Ford, because that means won't be as fatigued with the rounds moving forward. I want to see just a bit of an uptick in output before I would say he's a buy.
So I would be hoping for 65, but against the Storm, I don't see that happening. I see that probably that he's going to end up having to be ground into the dirt again. And what worries me about that is if we don't have momentum, if we don't have a bit of a lead, it's got the makings of costing us, a small lead if we have one, or we're trying to push to create a golden point kind of a position, because that seems to happen quite a bit between Waz and Storm. It gets quite tight and can get quite competitive amongst the forwards. So I can definitely see him ending up playing too long.
We'll move into the next game, fellas. We got here Eels and Titans. Now, Moses is a hold. He just keeps kind of justifying himself. And I think now with no Pezzett, he'll dominate in play kicking, but he's carrying that groin injury. So goal kicking duties are gone. Joash Papali'i is now confirmed as a cheapy cash out option. He scored under break even. He's dropped a bit more in cash, but I see that as his floor now. The time to get him, if you want him, is this week. But I personally am not looking to cash out on these kind of guys anymore. They're just not succeeding. The one I want to encourage a bit of a watch on, he's priced at value, but it's Jack Williams. He played 70-plus minutes. He's had basically every score over 50 except one. I think his increase in demand last week was clearly the result of in-game injuries, but he's clearly someone that Jason Riles wants to rely on for big minutes, kind of like a Jackson Ford or an Alex Twal if needed. Now, mid-edge DPP is very valuable. He's got no origin risk. He's someone I'm keeping a very, very close eye on, because what's his face isn't coming back, Matt Dury. Jermaine Hopgood isn't coming back. They've got injuries heaps in the back line, so I would presume 5 and 6 are going to be half and, wing fullback center coverage, mostly for the Eels. So I can see a world where Jack Williams is playing 60 to 65 plus every single week. So I'm going to watch this week, but he's someone I'm considering a cash down on over Origin time. So say if Origin player is gone, I'll cash down to a Jack Williams for score maintenance. He'll just stay at the same price all year and give me a bit of consistency. So have you guys looked into him at all? He's very interesting. He nearly crossed for a try last week as well.
Yeah, I have, and I've kind of put him as quite an earmark, top priority for Origin.
Yeah,
because that way he can cover those rounds that you need the coverage of. You're not overspending. You're freeing up a bit of cash, and he'll do a really good job. And then you potentially could even see a bit of growth over Origin. You flick him on for a bit of extra, cash up onto back to a gun that you would want now to hold for the rest of the year. So yeah, I'm pretty high on him for an Origin cover for sure.
He's like Mr. Consistent, isn't
Yeah.
he? Apart from that 36 game, he's just been low to mid 50s every single round. He's very reliable when it comes to scoring. So you know what you're going to get out of him. So he's a safe, handy play over Origin with that DPP status too. So
yeah. And I will say too, in the game where he scored his 36, he had -10 in missed tackles, -12 in total demerits. So he is prone to a missed tackle. He has 53 and 63 minutes as well in round 3 against the Dragons with 5 missed tackles. But the big key for me is there's no attacking upside at all. There's no attacking buff in his stats. And he is a lock edge. He's someone that can cross the line. He's someone that can bust tackles. So I think that what we're seeing here is where he'll probably score generally, but there is upside in him potentially, especially if he moves out of bloody prop. That would be brilliant for his scoring. Next, boys, Titans. There's a few here, but they're kind of very obvious. So it's like Fayamani you hold this week because when a fullback is so tough to cover, unless obviously you can get rid of him. He's kind of justified himself another week hold, but he's got no more money left to make unless he scores like a 40. Kenty is still on my watch list, mostly for an Origin cash out option, but he's not really presenting much. I really love Jojo Fafita and the way he's playing, man. If the Titans start seeing some sort of attacking upside, he's going to go through the moon. He's got 66 last week with, 2 tries? So, it's kind of Jackson Purdue style scoring where it's like tries to justify the points, but he is so defensively sound. And if we can get that consistent defense and involvement, for like a general 20 in base, and then he has attacking upside in the 40s, I can see a world where he becomes someone to consider. But his price point is just too steep for me to really look at it. Like I kind of want to see floors to get him into that low 400, 300K bracket. JC, big down game last week, but someone that, again, is right up there with Nico Hines as non-Origin cover. I'd be loving this as a non-owner because it's like, cool, now his price is plummeting. Let's watch it play out. Tino's going to continue to be a watch for me all season, but we need to see the role change before you ever look to buy in. Aramahau is starting to look like potential Noah Martin keeper territory, but I'm not going to give him keeper tag just yet. How do you guys see it? Kind of just summarized it all. It's
very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar, bro.
Nothing to add. Nailed it.
Very last game, boys, but finally there. Tigers and Knights. Marcassini is such an issue, but he's a continuous hold for now. Maybe someone I'd look to offload at Origin time. Maybe hold. I don't know yet what I'm going to do with him. He's like a worse version of Chester. Jock Madden is one that I'm interested on with you guys. I think he's a firm avoid because Luai is like 1 to 2 weeks away, and I think Madden gets dropped out. But is there a world where Adam Dewey possibly goes to centre so they can keep Jock Madden there?
Don't say it.
Happening?
Don't say it.
He's not kicking at all. No. He's just playing in the halves and feeding the ball. I know it's scary, bro. But then again, that's an easy move to Nico Hines. So it's like I'm not opposed to it. If we see an Adam Dewey move to center, then I'm like, great, now he's a sell. But a lot of coaches will hold, it's an advantage you could take to move forward. But again, I don't want to see it. I love when Dewey is kicking and doing everything in the half. But when are we going to see it again? Like this could just be a week-to-week drag out.
Yeah, look, there is a world where it could happen because Madden is playing like out of his skin at the moment. Like he's proving that he can lead a team. Because Dewey's not, as you said, he's not doing any kicking.
Yeah.
Madden's doing pretty much all the playmaking, and he's looking really, really good doing it. So Luai's back next week, I believe.
Yeah.
So next week's TLT is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
There is a world where we could see Dewey replace Macassini in the centres.
Oh, yes.
And
Definitely
there is
reality.
the proposition that Stafford Toa is coming back soon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything can happen next week. But if I see Dewey named in the centres, I am flicking him straight to probably like
Oh,
JC or Hunts.
he'll tank any
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the gains he's had.
Immediate move, bro. I don't care if his break even is like 30. I'm
Yeah.
moving him.
No, he's
Same.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the only positive for this not happening is that Jock Madden's playing at number 6. He's being named at 6.
Yeah.
He's consistently at 7, which kind of tells me, like, Dewey is their half. They're going to leave it that way. And it makes more sense. Don't change the whole structure of your halves after 7 rounds just because one guy's playing well, especially Dewey's not playing bad. He's just not kicking. So I think they will leave it as is, hopefully for Dewey's sake. May is another one to probably consider, boys, that I was so high on him in live commentary, as you guys know. I was like, I'm buying him next week. I don't care. But then his break evens come in at 70. Reality set in. I think that he's got at least 1 to 2 weeks left before it becomes a certain buy. And then hopefully in that time frame, we get confirmation on Origin availability. But yeah, I think he's the one that everyone's going to want to own over Origin. But there is a caveat there in that round 12, I'm pretty sure Tigers have got the bye. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So they don't play.
So if you wanted to, so I've got him as a pod buy
Yeah.
this round because I still think now he's kind of coming to that top end of the purchase zone that you want to get him at. He's nowhere near as shedding cash as he has been. So he's still got the potential to still drop a little bit of cash, but I think now he's getting to that point where he's possibly this round, next round, going to actually then be basically scoring at where he's priced. So that bigger round last week definitely has helped him. And I do think now if you don't have any of the winger fullback issues that others have, it would be between him and KPP. If I was in that luxury, I would be tossing up which way do I go between those two boys as pod buys, because I do think they've still got cash to make. Well, in KPP's position, he's got a little bit there, but basically what you're doing is you're locking in over Origin an excellent scorer who's going to be very, very consistent.
No.
So yeah, if you are part of that sort of like 10% of coaches who are flying, I'd be looking at that as a move before anyone else.
Interesting. Because I've got a bit of a weird, it's not a weird, I think it's very logical issue here with both Samuela Fainu and KPP. I think what we're seeing right now is the elevation of KPP in the absence of Jerome Luai. Because there's no left side efficiency, Adam Dewey is taking advantage on the right, and we're seeing exactly the same with Adam Dewey and KPP that we're seeing with Jerome Hughes and Joe Chan. So a lot more ball is going the way of KPP. So I'm a bit afraid of buying into him now at his current price point if there's any concern of downside.
Bro, he scored one of his highest scores in round 1 when we had Luai.
But that was 2 tries, wasn't it? Didn't he score 2 tries in that game?
So
true, but
he scored 2 tries for a 61.
But that also tells you that the ball was still going down his side, regardless, even when Luai was there. And for them to keep attacking down that side, and even Benji has said a whole lot about just how impressed he is with KPP, how they really want to use him as an attacking force this year. So he's come out and said that massively. I don't know if you guys listened to the podcast with May and KPP just last week. And KPP has talked all about his conversation with Benji, what brought him to the club, and essentially just how much freer he is to attack. And basically, we barely saw him score tries at the Knights. He's already scored 3 in 4 rounds for the Tigers. And I do think that you're going to see it more. And then even when he doesn't score a try, his floor at the moment that he doesn't have a try is 53, and then his ceiling without a try is 84 in inflated minutes for sure. So ultimately for me, you've now seen 4 rounds with and without Luai, and for me, I really rate it. And he's got the second highest average of any edge right now, and that's behind Lasati.
That's saying something considering how dominant the edge market's been.
Yeah.
I will say though, I don't think KPP is not a buy. I think that the bigger upside play is actually in Samuela Fainu. Is that once we see Jerome Luai, because look at Samuela Fainu's price point for one, he's not playing Origin. Plus, he is a ball hog, and we know that left side, and he's been taking away from everyone on that left side. So 6 and 65 with Luai, 42 and 52 without. So I think the real upside buy here as a keeper is KPP because we know that he's solid. But the real value buy and pod option is going to be Samuela Fainu. He's the one I'm going to buy into at Origin, is Samuela Fainu.
Yeah, but I guess with Fainu at the moment, he's priced at a 51, scoring 58, right? So what you would want to be able to actually see if there really is value there is that he pushes into low to mid 60s as an average. And I don't know if it's there being on Luai's side. I'm just not convinced because anyone who plays on Luai's side, they have such high and low games. I really only want to be buying into the right side, which is really where Dewey is leading the attack from that side, and he's not afraid to give a great try assist.
Well, we buy both of them.
yeah,
like
totally.
Seriously. I like both. I think that what I want to see mostly from Samuela Fainu now is 2 more weeks out for Luai and 2 floor scores. That's what will really pull me in. If I can get a 500k bracket, Samuela Fainu.
You'd want him to drop. And he's got a break even in the mid 40s right now, so
not going to happen.
It's still not really there. Like if he was in the 60s, 70s break even, then I'd be more excited. I just think that it's far riskier going Fainu than it is KPP. And I'm seeing KPP as looking like at this point, it's only 4 games in, so it's a big call. But he's looking like Hudson Young from last year, where he could easily end up being that big try scoring edge that they really go to. I'm really high on him. I think and even when you look at how he scores, 1 week he's got a big score because he scored tries. The next week he's got no tries, but he's getting it from tackle busts, and then he gets it from his tackles, and he gets it. His range of scoring is massive. He's not reliant on any one thing. And so I really rate that as a base. And it's exactly the same as Hudson Young.
Yeah, I think that what we will see is we'll see these guys both increase generally because if the Tigers are going to be an attacking force and a team challenging for the top 8, they're going to have more points in them. But then, what way do you go is going to be the question. It's going to be because I'm not buying Samuela Fainu until I have certainty. I'm telling you right now, if I get that certainty, I'm buying in 100% over KPP. But that's just because I want the pod play. But I think that KPP will prove to be the most stable buy long term for sure. Because his defense is always so high as well. We've seen that at Knights. That was his big thing. It's like he loved it when he had hard games because the dude just tackle all day. Whereas I think, Fainu is a bit less active.
And he's increasing again already. Like he had offloads at the Knights. He's already increased that by like 1.5 with the Tigers. So that's one of the key things I look for is we all know how easy it is to score a junk, 12 to 16 points off offloads.
It's so tasty too when you see a guy doing it.
So good.
Now, last team, guys, very easy one. Fletcher Hunt, if you're looking to consider, avoid that option. He's already made his cash. Well done if you bought in at his floor, his price floor. But Dylan Brown's due back next week, which is going to push Fletcher Sharp likely into fullback. See you later, Fletcher Hunt. It might not happen, but too high risk for me to buy in. Dane Gagai, massive score, huge score. And he's priced it in a position where you'd consider buying in. But my position is that we see this from him occasionally. And I actually am not buying into Newcastle Knights resurgence. Like what we're seeing right now is very good purple patch, but it's actually against teams that have been really out of form. I think once they start to come up against real tests, they'll get discovered. And all the outside backs for the Knights are going to be a problem. And not to mention, we've seen now Sandon Smith in at halfback actually providing attacking consistency, and there's flow, really good system that they've got going. As soon as Brown comes back in, that changes. As soon as Ponga comes back in, that changes. And we'll see exactly at the Knights what we've seen at the Wars, where as soon as you have changes in the spine, there's an unavoidable 1 to 2 weeks there where it just takes time to gel. And I think it's going to lead to suppression. But yeah, I think they're avoid. Sharp's a big watch, though. If he moves into fullback, he's kind of not really performing right now, but I think it's all PCL related. He's still holding his knee after tackles and things like that. And then Trey Mooney, I'm now starting to change my opinion on him a little bit. I'm just going to run him out until his peak. Hopefully he proves to me that he's more justified as a hold, but I'm currently looking at him as either a hold over Origin if he's being consistent, or my pivot to Samuel Fainu. That's kind of how I'm looking at him right now. But any more to add on the Knights, guys? Do we kind of agree?
I think if you invested in Hunt, you're not too bad off, because I think he's actually bought himself another 4 weeks. Because Bradman Best being out, this Wilson DeCourcy's moved to centre. I think next week, if Brown does return, you'll see Sharp move to fullback and Fletcher Hunt move to that number 4 position.
Oh, you reckon he'll play centre?
Yeah. Well, we've seen it before.
Yeah. And who are their wingers? Dominic Young, Greg Marju, they're not coming in to play centre. No. So that's probably a good point.
The only problem is that I think it more likely buys you a week where you watch him play at centre, and then it's likely that you need to bounce him out at that point.
But that's it, guys, in terms of the TLT and our buy, holds, and sell narrative. So I will finish on Kenty's market move strategy and Brownie's tips. So I'll start off with your Kenty's market move strategy. How are you looking at this round? I think we've got a pretty good idea of it based on how we've communicated, but what do you think this round coaches need to focus on mostly to make sure that they at least maintain or improve their ranks?
Real simple. It's to bolster your winger fullback position. We've kind of started the season with a whole bunch of like cheapy wingers that helped us to bolster other positions. They are failing. And then the only winger fullback that was really kind of nailing it for a lot of our teams was Walsh. He's now out. And so now basically you've got to be able to bring someone else in. So instead of chasing other, big time players, like as much as I would love to chase KPP, we simply can't, and not at this part of the season. It's about bolstering winger fullback and fixing coverage that you've got across your team. So make sure that this week, while people are potentially going to go and chase the big scores and potentially then also put themselves into quite a deep hole, it could be that they use up money in the bank. It could be that they then leave themselves with poor coverage elsewhere. I think this week proves to be a much, much better position, is to just fix your team as best as possible, so that you are in a better position to make the play for those bigger guns in the weeks to come. I also think from a cash generation perspective, it's too early to be jumping on like the really big guns, because all that they're going to do is generally sit at their price. They're not going to make you any money. So therefore, you basically store your cash generation. There's a lot of teams that are already well past 12 million. If we're going to compete with them, we need to keep cash generation going. And there's a lot of talk that Lasati and Rutschman are coming back and all these sorts of players. We don't know exactly when necessarily for Lasati. We don't know if he's going to be starting off the bench. There's all sorts of things that could still go wrong. So I think fix the team this week and nail your cash generation and shore up winger fullback.
Yeah, I think that's super solid and sound advice. It's where we're all looking. And I think the real upside win here is for the people that already had Twal. If you went from Payne Haas to Alex Twal last week, you're in a position now where a lot of coaches are going to sacrifice their winger fullback coverage to chase Twal to get him in. So the advantage now is if you hyper-focus on winger fullback, all those coaches that chase Twal will be looking to focus on winger fullback next week, but you'll be in a position now where you can chase the market value. You're now a week ahead. So again, I think it's pretty common knowledge amongst creators right now that this is the week that's going to separate experienced coaches from inexperienced coaches, and we're going to start to move right.
Totally agree.
So Brownie, tips for the week, bro. I'm really interested to hear your Storm and Warriors tip and your Sharks and Roosters tip. But
Not gonna like it. Tips for round 6. Right. So Doggies Penrith kicking us off. I'm going Panthers very easily.
Well, that's a close one.
I think it's a given.
Man, that's quite a surprise.
Yeah.
Dragons Seagulls. I'm going Seagulls. I think Dragons are feeling the absolute sting of horrible coaching at the moment, and the most recent news that Trey Fuller has rejected their proposal. So Fuller basically said, "F off. I'm not coming." Broncos Cowboys, the derby. I'm actually going Cowboys, guys.
Oh, really?
I'm going Cows. I think the loss of Walsh is massive.
Yeah.
I think Reynolds is going to be a laid out. He won't play. There's reports that Mam apparently isn't training at 100%.
Yeah,
So there's an injury cloud over him. So if you're looking at a brand new halves pairing for this game, your superstar fullback who's already out, your main big bopper and Payne Haas still carrying a shoulder injury. Very vulnerable, bro. And Cowboys are in hot form. So
but you might as well, because he's always upset somewhere. So
yeah. So I might as well. I'm going to take the punt. I'm going to go Cowboys over Broncos this week in the derby. Rabbitohs Raiders. I'm going Rabbits. They're just looking too good at the moment. Now Sharks Roosters.
Make the smart choice.
Jai, I'm actually going Roosters.
Oh, you idiot!
I'm going Roosters, Jai.
Where do they win? Brownie?
I think with the return of Spencer Leniu on the bench, that is massive for them. I think Lindsay Collins back as well. I think Hugo Savala at center. I don't mind it as a replacement for Billy Smith because he's a big body and he's very defensively sound. And we've seen that. So I actually don't mind the Roosters this week.
I think it'll be close, a close game. And Sharks didn't give me any hope in the way they beat the Wars. So I am concerned. But we're going to smash the Roosters, dude. We don't like these pretentious soy latte sipping guys from Bondi. We smash them. So
the only other thing to consider too is Roosters coming off the bye could be a little bit undercooked, underdone.
Swap it back.
I might change it. I'll stick with Roosters for now.
Yeah.
Now, Storm Wars, I'm sorry, Kenty.
You're all right, bro.
I think Bellamy would have absolutely ripped these guys a new one in training this week. He said, he's put out the warning to his players. He basically said, if you're not up to it, you're out of first grade. I'm not going to play you.
Yeah.
So
they're coming off, 3 losses, which they've never done in however many years, 3.5 years or something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't see it being 4 in a row.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. So I think
not the way that we've been playing either.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, just because I think the Wars have been playing better without Metcalf.
Yeah.
So, but I need to back the Storm. I don't think we lose 4 in a row.
Yeah. It's very hard to see it happen.
Yeah, it is.
This is another close one. It could go away.
Yeah, it could. I'm hoping that we're in with a shot.
This humbleness is killing me.
I'm loving it that it is.
Oh man. Eels Titans. I could potentially see another upset in this one, but I'm going to go Eels simply for the fact that they went pretty close to Tigers last week.
Really?
But I could possibly sense an upset in the Titans getting up.
Yeah, I've gone Titans in this one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with Eels.
Yeah.
And then last game, I know the Knights have been on a hot streak, but man, I have to go Tigers.
Yeah. Good man.
I think you have to.
So
good stuff. Well, boys, that's it. Follow Kenty's Market Move. Follow Brownie's Breakdown. Up Cronulla if you want an 8 from 8 this week. Make sure you tip everyone that Brownie said, but tip the Sharks, not the Roosters. Brownie's Breakdown, Kenty's Market Move. Follow both these boys on Instagram. They do all their own fantasy content, a little bit of a different niche to say what Blindside focuses on. But if you have the whole suite, you're going to do well every single week in fantasy. But anything to add, boys, before we wrap it up?
Up the Wars, but hoping for a great game.
Yeah.
Up the Storm, hoping for a good game.
Oh my God. What is that? Oh,
I knew that we were going to get Joe with that. It's just too good.
You know what I hope now? Low scoring game, very disappointing from both sides, and Sharks just scream past both you on the ladder. That's what I hope. Oh, that annoys me. Too humble. Too humble. Oh, all right. Well, you're better men than me. On the next one, coaches. Thanks heaps for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
He hits it.